Good evening. This is Stephanie Hellman, and today is February 25th. I'm opening the meeting or Marin County Council of Mayors and council members meeting this evening. And I just want to note for those folks on the Zoom, we are in the brand new location, the Center for Student Success at the Kentfield College of Marin campus, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's got state-of-the-art AV and sound equipment and a wonderful staff that's been helping us. And the vision is, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but the vision is that we're gonna identify a handful of central locations to rotate through, and we're gonna likely get out of this model of scrambling for different sites, and we'll have sites like this and MWPA and NFL that are fully equipped, can handle the hybrid discussion. But from here on, as discussed in the last meeting, we are going to be hybrid and in person. We'll have a forum in person from here on. Yes, so with that, before I get into introductions, we're going to do a roll call.
Thank you. Belvedere.
Belvedere.
Corte Madera.
Here.
Fairfax.
Here.
Larkspur.
Here.
Mill Valley.
Here.
Novato.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
San Anselmo.
Here.
San Rafael.
Here.
Sausalito.
Here.
And Tiburon.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Right here.
Okay, so we're on the agenda for item 2, which is public comment. If there's anybody in the room or on Zoom, that would be the time to raise your hand for public comment, and you will be limited to 3 minutes. Seeing no one in the room for public comment, do we have any hands raised on the Zoom?
Waiting to see if anyone raises hands, but I'm not seeing any raised hands from online attendees.
Okay. No hands raised on the Zoom, so close public comment. And moving on to our welcome. So I'd like to introduce President of College of Marin, Dr. Jonathan Eldridge. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Well, it's great to see some familiar faces and meet some new folks here. I have a couple of questions for you before I say just a few things in terms of the welcome. First of all, raise your hand if you or someone in your family has attended College of Marin at some point. Excellent. We'd love to see that. That's wonderful. My next question is, how many of you have been in this building before tonight? Many fewer of you. Okay. Hopefully your meeting won't go so long that you can't wander the building later. I'm happy to also find a time to give you a personal tour if you would like. We are so happy to be able to host you. Hopefully we can be a regular stop on your tour. We're happy to host you in Novato at the Jonas Center too, if you would like. A couple of things about the college that you may or may not know. We are celebrating our 100th anniversary this year. So we were founded in 1926. And there was real skepticism as to whether Marin County at the time could handle, that the tax base could handle having a community college. But the voters approved a 15-cent parcel tax, and that's how we got started. So I think that 15 cents is pretty good investment. And 100 years later, as we reflect on our past, we have been, I think, an important part of the educational landscape in Marin for 100 years. We have designs on being that for the next 100 years. We're in the process of defining what our future looks like. And we have a strategic plan. There's just 3 pieces to it. One is we want to be the best place to study and learn. And as the community's college, as the public higher education in Marin, we take that very seriously. Over 85% of our students are Marin County residents. We serve about 7,000 students every semester. We think we're already a pretty good place to study and learn. We have the highest UC transfer acceptance rate in all of Northern California, 3rd highest in the entire state. In some of our workforce development programs, in partnership with Canal Alliance and other partners in the community, the graduates of those programs, certified nursing assistant, construction, and others routinely see a 30% wage gain once they've completed that. So we're trying to do things on all those fronts. We also want to be a great place to work and grow professionally. We have amazing staff. We have a lot of alums who want to come back and work here. Our faculty are absolutely top-notch, and we devote a lot in terms of professional development and making sure that they can contribute to the community, which brings me to the third point, which is being a catalyst for positive community change. And this comes in many forms, including our partnerships with our K-12, pre-K, TK-12 districts. We'll be hosting them next month for our annual administrator breakfast to talk about ways we can do more. Every year, every semester, we have over 600 high school students dually enrolled at the College of Marin. We have partnerships with our Compass program where we're helping students, first generation, low income students of color, having access to higher education while they're in high school. And those are the students who are going on and transferring at those really high rates. As we look ahead, we are absolutely committed partners in the county on the big issues that we all face. Less than half of our employees are able to live in Marin County, so we're very invested in finding solutions in terms of housing, not only for our employees, but we're graduating 48 nurses into the profession every year. We're graduating firefighters, EMTs, medical assistants, dental assistants, and others, all of whom are getting job offers in Marin, and when they start a family, they're having a hard time living here. So we're committed to figuring that out and being a player in those discussions. We're also committed to helping sort out transportation issues. Half of our greenhouse gas emissions come from getting people to and from our campuses for the educational enterprise. We want to find ways to address that. So we're investing we're converting our fleets to EV. Some of you may actually charge in our charging stations. We just upgraded to new ones down here, and we'll be doing so in Novato. But we're committed to helping solve issues, sea level rise and wildfire issues and other things. And this is where we're going to be housing fire recruits in partnership with Marin County at the Novato campus very soon in a building up there. And we're committed to being what the community needs for us. Our mission is to provide equitable opportunities and foster success for all members of our diverse community. That's a tall order when you've got people coming to us for 1,000 different reasons, but we're committed to helping every single one of them achieve whatever it is that is their goal educationally. In addition to that, every year we contribute about $210 million back into the economy, most of that locally. And that comes from our employees, it comes from the wage increases that our graduates see, it comes from construction of facilities like this and other things. So we try to be a good resident as well in terms of the economic vitality. And we're just thrilled to be able to play so many different roles in the community. For those of you who aren't familiar, this building is the last major piece of the Measure B voter-approved bond program from 2016. And our Center for Student Success, if you haven't had a chance to go down and see the library yet, we are part of MarinNet, so if you want to check out a book at your local library and return it here, you can. We, in addition to the library, our learning communities, all of our free tutoring, academic counseling, health support, our basic needs hub, classrooms are all in this facility, and we're really proud of that. And for those of you who live near the college, yes, all of these ugly portables, the next phase is to get rid of all of them. So they will be, over the next year, leaving the campus, fortunately. Do tour the building. It really is a phenomenal resource. We consider it the community's living room as much as it is for our students. The library is open access. Please come and enjoy a cup of coffee and other treats at Pink Owl, who've been phenomenal partners with us, and explore the rest of the campus. Last thing I'll say, because you have more important things to do than to hear me talk anymore. Our athletic events, our performing arts events, world-class, amazing, and they're all free and open to the public. So go online, get your tickets, join us for these amazing cultural resources and opportunities, and see the great things that are happening with us. And I will just say that if there's anything that I can do, or we as the college can do to be of assistance to you in the work that you do, the amazing work that you do on behalf of Marin County and the municipalities you serve, please reach out. We are always looking for ways to fulfill our mission in partnership with others. So enjoy the facility this evening, enjoy your evening, and we hope to see you back on campus many, many more times, not just officially, but also as you're walking your dog or coming and taking a class with us. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Yeah, this is a wonderful facility. And I just want to encourage you, if you ever want to present here or you have an initiative or a program you want to share with, this is a really good way to reach the whole county because we have obviously representation. So please consider us a partner. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have a wonderful lineup for you this evening. I just want to mention that our Assembly Member Damon Connolly will be here speaking with us, and CEO of Now Alliance, Omar Carrera, is here with us. And before that, we will open up the business meeting. So if you have your agenda in front of you, item 4A is the discussion and possible approval to establish an ad hoc governance committee to review and provide recommendations regarding revisions to the MCC bylaws, which are attached, and I won't read to you. And so we want to provide guidance on other issues related to MCC governance and operations for future consideration. So if you look at the staff report, the recommendation or the hope is to have volunteers and representation from every jurisdiction. And, I'll just say that we are going through some changes with the organization. I think many of you know, i.e. we're hybrid from here on out and in person from here on out. And we've spoken to other similar organizations, our neighboring counties, and we know that, our bylaws haven't been updated since 2018. So we have some work to do. I don't think it'll take more, personally, I don't think it'll take more than 30 or 60 days and a couple of meetings because we have a lot to leverage in terms of our neighboring counties and so forth. And some of us have already done a lot of ideation along the way. So with that, go ahead. I see Pat Eklund has her hand raised.
I just want to, should I be speaking? Oh,
Yeah, there's a microphone for Q&A for the public too.
and I can handle
Go ahead.
I really support the effort to update the bylaws to not only reflect the hybrids, but also to refresh how we govern MCCMC. So, and I'd be willing to help. I did that. I helped with the MCCMC bylaws many years ago. I'm not going to tell you how many years. But anyway, and I'd be glad to help on the committee.
Well, thank you.
Anybody else?
Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues?
No, I just want to say that I support the effort too.
Great. Does that mean we can count on you for subcommittee member?
If
you like
don't find
volunteers
someone
now?
More knowledgeable and articulate, I will.
So you got two right here, Stephanie.
Two.
Okay, going for another one.
I see a couple of hands raised. Thank you, Pat.
You need us to call out our names or you?
Seeing Rachel, Kurtz, and San Rafael and Gabe for raising them. Are you just raising a volunteer or are you? Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So we have Rachel Kurtz, council member in San Rafael, Gabe Paulson, council member Vice Mayor.
Rachel Hertz from Centerville.
Yes. Yes.
Chantel.
I see Chantel Walker. Thank you so much. Alice. I don't want to curse you. Was that a?
Just being happy that so many people are volunteering.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Holly, are you volunteering?
I thought this was the vote on the committee.
Well, we're soliciting folks to serve on the subcommittee.
I will read the recommendations. Yes.
Pardon me?
I'll read the
recommendations.
recommendations and I'll
Okay.
give edits. I'll do that.
I'm happy to serve for Fairfax. Do we have a quorum? Not so far.
Is Alice participating?
I don't know.
We have, I have 5 so far.
You get a Mill Valley participant. It's more Max.
I just said to Nancy, I have too much on my plate. I'm not volunteering. I'll be
Thank you so much.
volunteering.
Welcome, Brian.
So easy.
Hi.
Ryan will do it.
It's volunteering.
You're volunteering
How are we doing on the forum of representation?
That's 6, so not a quorum.
Sixes though, right? 'Cause there's 11 members.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, great. And we kind of did the volunteerism before the approval, so I will be happy to entertain a motion to approve this, the standing up of this subcommittee.
I'll
So-
move it.
I'll second.
Motion Eklund, second Pere. All in favor? Any nays? Okay, motion passes. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the support.
Wait, we should ask for public
Oh,
comment.
yes. Now, are there any members of the public in the room that have a comment? Okay, seeing none, are there any folks on the Zoom?
Not seeing any raised hands from, oh, no, there is a raised hand from an online attendee.
Okay, great.
Berkshire Gans, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
thank you.
Hi, thanks for taking public comment at this newly Brown Act compliant meeting of the MCCMC. My name is Berkshire Gans. I live in Tam Valley. I've lived in Marin for over a decade now. And the reason your meetings are now being held in accordance with the Brown Act, and the reason that you are now having to overhaul your entire structure and the bylaws is because I figured out by accident that you had not been following the Brown Act for decades. And internally, we're doing things like hiding videos of your meetings. I found that out. They're doing multiple public records requests to various towns around Marin over the past 5 months or so. And I had to hire an attorney to basically come to you and serve a cease and desist letter upon the MCCMC threatening a lawsuit so that you would comply with the state constitution. So that is the elephant in the room that no one seems to be addressing here, that you're finally cleaning up your bylaws and you're finally talking about your structure because you all almost got sued a month ago. And I'm very glad to see that there has been progress made so far on addressing some of these issues. I'm glad you're meeting in person. I'm glad you're recording these meetings. I'm glad you're posting these meetings. But I would like to see public participation continue in the sense that we could be a part of this new ad hoc committee to overhaul your bylaws and make sure you are fully in compliance going forward. So I would like to put forward to MCCMC that you allow members of the public, especially those of ours who have been the ones instigating these changes in the first place, to potentially help you draft your new bylaws and put forward suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any other hands raised?
I'm not seeing any additional hands raised.
Okay. Did I see some hands raised in the room that wanted to?
I would like to address that if I may. Hold on.
Thank you, Pat. Sorry to put you to work.
That is working tonight.
Ms. Pat Ravazio, I have your badge too.
Thank you. Pat Ravazio, Corte Madera. I've been on the council and in this group for 4 years. And my husband prior to me was in this group for 16 years. And it has always been open to the public for as long as I have known. If anybody has ever wanted to attend from the public, they were always welcomed. The only thing that was questioned was whether or not the legislative committee, a subcommittee, was also required to meet Brown Act requirements. And that was the fine point upon which this whole issue has rested. And while Brooke, I appreciate you feeling like a great avenger for good out there, and I hope you do get more people involved in local government, but I want you to know this group has always been open to the public for the last 20 years at least. So your lawsuit would have met on quite dead ears. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to move us on to 4B, unless there's any other questions or comments. And-
Brooke wanted to continue her comment.
No, that we're not doing back and forth. She had her opportunity. Did she not use her 3 minutes? Is that what you're saying, or?
Well, she was still, but I think she wanted to know if she would be allowed to participate.
She can reach out to us via email. So moving on to 4B, review the draft agenda for March 25th. Hope you all had an opportunity to review that. I'm happy to take questions or I'll entertain a motion. I will tell you we are lining up a good two speakers, Mr. Derek, who's here, our county executive. Where are you? I saw you earlier. Oh, did he step out of the room?
He had a call.
Oh, okay.
He had a call.
And we'll also be having a presentation from MPC ABAG as well as Sarah Jones discussing sub-regional housing allocation. So that'll be pretty interesting for March. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Oh, that's just, oh, great.
All right, moving on to 4C, consideration and possible action to approve the draft minutes from the January 28th meeting. And the regular meeting,
So moved.
Oh, wait, we have to take public comment.
public comment on the other one.
Well, yeah, both. We didn't take public comment on 4B.
Okay, I'll take public comment on item 4B,
The
the
review.
draft agenda for March.
I am not seeing any raised hands from in-person attendees, and I am not seeing any raised hands from online attendees.
Okay. Closing public comment on 4B, opening public comment for 4C of the draft minutes from the January 28th MCCMC meeting.
Not seeing any raised hands from in-person attendees, and I am not seeing any raised hands from online attendees.
Terrific. Closing public comment on item 4C. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Pierce, second. All in favor? Any nays? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to item 5, committee reports. I think we have just the ABAG today as part of the packet. Is that right?
And BCDC.
And yes, BCDC. So is there anything you want to, Ms. Eklund, or is there anything you want to highlight from either of those reports?
Yes. So ABAG, I wanted to highlight the fact that we are going to be starting to work on this next RENA cycle. And it's early, but ABAG is starting to ramp up for that. And so we're also going to be working on making sure that cities and counties have their information from the state as to what you've achieved to date as well. So we are going to be setting up I'm going to be setting up a RENA subcommittee for Marin County. So I'm going to be asking, like I did before, for cities and towns to stand up and ask for one person to be the continuous person through this next 2 years. So it's going to be 1.5 years to 2 years before we come up with a formula. And so, so there are some options that we're going to be having to look at. And so, in my opinion, that's what the ABAG delegates will be doing for the next 1.5 years or 2. And it's going to be starting with next month. We're going to be getting a presentation from ABAG on some of the options. And so that's something that we're going to have to be talking about and considering in the future. So just want to make sure everybody knows that. And then please take a look at the BCDC report. And there is a really neat thing about the state of your estuary. Take a look at that. It's really neat to go online and take a look at the link. So just want to point those 2 things out.
Great, thank you, Pat. All right, moving on. We're ready for our presentation.
Actually, I have
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Holly.
Okay, great. So everybody, I just want to say that at the last Golden Gate Bridge Board meeting, something very fabulous happened, and one of our very own attended the meeting. So why did Eli Hill come to the Golden Gate Bridge Board meeting? Does anybody know? If you do, don't spoil it, Alice. So we got to see Bert Hill, who's Eli's father, sworn in as president of the Golden Gate Bridge Board. And I just want to say that I've worked with his father for several years now, and I know other people have in the room. And he's fabulous and wonderful and a great leader, and he's going to lead the board very well. The other really exciting thing that happened actually between this report and the next meeting is that the San Rafael Transit Center was just we were just notified, the Bridge Board, that the San Rafael Transit Center is getting a $25.6 million grant from the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration. And it's one of 34 projects in 19 states that received funding. So it's a major accomplishment. And thank you to Kate for her work, Mayor Kate, as well, and the whole team at Golden Gate Bridge Board. It's a huge accomplishment. And then you'll get the written report as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Congratulations in your vote in the county.
I'll take
Alright.
public comments on.
Yes, let's take public comment on item 5.
I'm not seeing any raised hands from in-person attendees, and I'm not seeing any raised hands from online attendees.
Okay, I will close public comment on item 5, and we are ready for our presentations. Wow, your timing is impeccable. Impeccable. Hello and welcome. You're up. So we are really delighted. We're really delighted to have you, Assemblyman Connolly. We just got through items 1 through 5, and you're number 6. So really, really honored to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you go.
That was hilarious, right? Hey, everyone. Thank you. I thought I was a little bit late, but we're on a roll here. And it's wonderful to be here. Ordinarily, I would be staying up in Sacramento on a Wednesday night because we have early floor. But wanted to thank you so much for the invitation. It's always amazing to be back here with friends and colleagues, and wanted to say how cool it is to be in this new building. It wasn't that long ago that I actually toured this while it was under construction. So this is my first time back, and let's face it, College of Marin is rocking it right now, right? Yeah. That message is now far and wide, for sure. But what I thought I would do is kind of just give you an update on what's happening in Sacramento. I'm always proud to say that a lot of what we get accomplished up there is because of what you all are doing and your ideas. And particularly looking out at this crowd, as Nancy knows, a lot of you are up in Sacramento frequently, whether it's testifying on bills, working issues, making budget requests. That's what we're here for. We are your partner in doing all the above. And it's an interesting time of year, and let's face it, interesting year overall right now. We just had our bill introduction deadline. It was last Friday. Again, this is the second year of a 2-year legislative session. So this year, I have about 14 bills I can do. Those are going to start moving through the process. We're going to talk a little bit about those. But really wanted to again thank you, a bit of a recap for what we were able to do last year, namely of the 12 bills that we were able to get to the governor's desk. He signed 11. That's not too bad about a track. Assembly Bill 1, as you know, and we were proud to get number 1. In fact, we were not going to be denied. Was to strengthen the Safer from Wildfires program. A number of you came out in support of that. This offers insurance discounts to people taking steps to harden their own homes, right? That's going to continue to be a huge issue in the legislature this year. There are already a number of bills coming forward around home hardening, wildfire prevention, ongoing insurance reform. So we'll be sure to keep you posted on those issues overall as well. I'll say it's part of a broader affordability agenda, right? No surprise. Insurance rates are too damn high, particularly for folks in our area. If you can even keep your insurance, right? If you're many people are hardening their homes but still getting kicked off coverage, there's actually going to be a bill on that this year as well. Utility rates, I know speaking for myself, I'm always hesitant to even crack open that PG&E bill these days. It's insane, right? And we're hearing a lot about that. Thank you so much for all of you going to bat for our immigrant communities. That's another huge topic of interest right now in Sacramento. Let me even put it this way. I would say right now, half my job and half my colleagues in the legislature's job on a daily basis is to fight back against the stuff coming out of this federal government right now, because it seems like it's every day, right? And it keeps getting worse. But one of the targets has been our immigrant neighbors in our communities, and we're not going to stand for it. So AB 419, which was signed last year, requires schools to post what's called the Know Your Education Rights. It helps parents and students alike navigate these uncertain times. It got a lot of local support and appreciated. We have many unique bills to our district. One is our amazing floating home community down in the Sausalito area. So we got AB 754 passed and signed, which fixes renter protections unique to floating homes, restores the ability of marinas to fund critical infrastructure improvements. That was kind of the two sides coming together, which is something you like to see, and something in this ultra polarized world we live in happens a lot if we kind of put our minds to it. Some of you may know, and who would have thought, I've basically become the legislature's go-to person on mobile home park residents. Gladly, I'm proud because they are too often, shall we say, getting screwed by large corporate mobile home park owners right now. So, for example, AB 806, and I didn't even know this was a thing that needed to be done. It says that mobile home park residents have the right to install cooling systems within their own homes. We were hearing that as folks were trying to do that in our local communities, particularly Sonoma County, but statewide, they were actually threatened with eviction. So now they have the right to do that as well. And finally, another one I'll point out, AB 1096 ensures that the public has access to vital information about lead levels in drinking water in California's schools and childcare facilities. Again, our local education community really went to bat for that. For those who don't know, I'm actually chair of the Environmental Safety and Toxic Materials Committee in Sacramento, and we deal with lead in water, raw water quality, pesticides, and those kind of public safety issues. I am also chair of the Select Committee on Wildfire Prevention. Keep an eye out for a hearing we're going to be holding in Sonoma County probably in the next couple months. It's going to be a statewide hearing around wildfire recovery, kind of told from the Sonoma lens. But as we know, LA is our most recent area where this has been a huge issue. And that's going to be a big source of focus this year as well. Very excited that I'm kind of on the front lines of making sure that the climate bond money, right, Prop 4, thank you, everyone. We got that through voters in November of 2024. Now it's a matter of making sure that money gets out to our communities. So I'm on the budget subcommittee where that is occurring. So that's going to be a big focus of attention again this year. I know a lot of folks in our communities are very interested in how that money is going to flow, particularly around things like wildfire, water quality, and ag climate solutions. So it includes, for example, 32.8 million for flood management projects. That's big in our area. Strengthening community infrastructure to address sea level rise. 185 million for state conservancies for vegetation management and fuel treatment projects. Those are allocations we were able to get through last year, and now that's going to be reset through subcommittee 4, budget sub 4, to look forward to this year. So things like flood control, drinking water, local fire prevention grants, and of course fire resilience. Again, home hardening is going to be a huge issue. I'm looking at the county on this and MWPA. Let's keep in touch on how we can best access that money. We know that overall, a big topic right now is the budget, right? So the governor is projecting about a $3 billion budget deficit. Our legislative analyst is saying about 18 billion. It probably lies somewhere in between, right? So you can imagine a lot of effort is going to go this year toward how do we shore up our budget, let alone in the outlined years, there's now a projected structural deficit for many years to come, which is not a good situation to be in. So it's going to partly be continuing demand that we get the federal money we are entitled to, right? I think Fonta, our AG, is up to about 130 lawsuits against the federal government in 1 year. We're winning most of them, but that's kind of going to wind its way through the process. We have to look at ways internally where we can shore up our own budget, right? If that involves reallocation. We are facing immediate crises around, for example, healthcare funding and Medi-Cal. That's probably one of the top issues that we're hearing about and have to deal with. Wildfire prevention. Again, the federal government and Trump are making no bones about withholding money we feel that we're entitled to. So continuing to have that political pressure. We are also looking at some potential revenue solutions. It's always a touchy subject. Probably the headline everyone's hearing about is, should we do a wealth tax, right? There's mixed views on that, but there is a ballot proposition being pushed. Right now, the governor has come out against it pretty strongly. That would impose a one-time tax on billionaires in the state. So that's going to be debated quite a bit. I've introduced an alternative, and it's Assembly Bill 1790. Some of you may have seen the cartoon in the IJ recently, right? You gotta love when you're the subject of a cartoon. As my daughter said, wow, you've really arrived. Okay, I'll take it. So what AB 1790 will do is end actually the largest corporate tax loophole in California. It's called the Water's Edge tax election. It's been around since the mid-'80s, kind of the Reagan era, and it allows multinational corporations to decide how they're taxed on revenues within California, as opposed to looking at worldwide combined revenues and what's the California share. This is literally what aspects of their domestic operations are earning revenue in California. Unfortunately, that means what they're doing is offshoring revenue. They're setting up tax haven corporations in places like the Cayman Islands to shield that revenue from taxation. A little bit wonky, but what it means is it costs us, California taxpayers, about $3 to $4 billion a year in lost tax revenue. That roughly coincides with our deficit, if you're asking certain people. So to my way of thinking, and so far so good in terms of at least it looks like it will get an airing, The governor conspicuously did not immediately oppose this. He stayed silent. I took that as a win. Leaders in both houses have expressed some interest in seeing how far this can go. And we have a huge coalition of labor, environment, some business, and a lot of residents who frankly are tired of the fact that, particularly as we sit here now with the federal recent budget bill, unprecedented tax breaks for the largest corporations and also the wealthiest individuals. So I think you're going to be hearing a lot more about some of these solutions, but keep an eye out for what is colloquially being termed the water's edge issue, which is my bill. We've introduced 14 bills total. As I mentioned, 1790 is one. My other priority bill for this year is AB 1553. I know a number of you have been paying attention to this overall issue, which emerged last year. It was a wholesale effort called Senate Bill 131, which exempted advanced manufacturing from CEQA review. So picture battery storage facilities, chip manufacturing. One of the issues that a lot of people had a problem with, and this was like right at the end of our budget session, we had 72 hours to review this. It got jammed through with the understanding that there would be additional work on it called cleanup. So we're going to be doing that this year. I'm leading the effort in the Assembly on cleanup legislation. We're going to better define advanced manufacturing. We're going to put guardrails around it. It's an issue that the Senate is working on as well. I won't belabor a lot of the other bills. Hopefully all of you get my newsletter. So in the editions coming out heretofore, we are going to cover each bill, kind of the status as it goes through the process. Now we will face committee hearings, amendments, et cetera, but not surprising, a lot of my stuff continues to focus around environment, resources, healthcare, real bread and butter stuff that our communities are focused on. We'll continue to fight the good fight. There are a number of bills emerging this year around holding ICE responsible, prohibiting local law enforcement officers from working or volunteering with Homeland Security or ICE, prohibiting state property and facilities from being used by ICE agents, and all kind of manner of, again, going to bat for our immigrant community. So with that, definitely want to hear what's on your mind. I appreciate the local wins we've gotten together recently, the good old 101 carpool hours, right? And that sort of thing. And we'll continue to stay in close touch on any particular local issues you're facing in your communities. So with that, any questions? Do we have time? Good.
Hi,
Hey.
Rachel Kurtz, San Rafael. As you know, that we have a real deficit in the county for memory care units for Medi-Cal patients, and I'm wondering if your AB 2457 might facilitate or help with that, or if there's any other legislation that you're hearing about around those type of facilities.
We're hoping mine does. Yeah, so this is my Medi-Cal bill. And I imagine Medi-Cal is going to be a huge focus legislatively and budget-wise. So thank you. Let's keep in touch on that. Other questions?
Any other questions in the room?
How are we doing with Caltrans and glyphosates and spraying along the highway? I know we couldn't pass that bill or it got vetoed. I can't remember what happened, but
Yeah.
wondering how we get the poisons out of our communities.
So that was AB 99, and thank you everyone for your support. That got vetoed a couple years ago when we introduced it. Caltrans, not surprisingly, put a huge price tag on it, right? Which we disputed, but it did not get through. What that would have done is said if a local community has banned the use of pesticides like glyphosate along their local roads, Caltrans should not be able to come in and override that. It got a lot of support. My sense is we got to just keep pushing on it. Certain county, it's probably going to start locally. I know Marin, Sonoma, Humboldt actually did get an exemption, I think, through Caltrans. So maybe that's an interim pilot step. But beyond that, I think we continue to just kind of put that pressure on.
I mean, towns like Corte Madera that have a highway that runs right through it, it's just, no matter what we do, I mean, we have the marsh there, we have the parks, we have the ponds, and as long as Caltrans is allowed to spew its poison along there, it's never gonna be.
There's better alternatives. Yeah, it was crazy kind of.
Let me know.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
A lot of things don't happen overnight.
Okay, I know that.
They may get, but 4 years later, and I think I'm going to be around for a while.
I think you are too.
We might be able to do it. Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Assemblymember, it's great to see you.
You too.
Is there anything that you think we can do around state density bonus law? As you know, a very large building was approved in San Rafael. And at least I ended up voting for it insofar as there was statutory penalties amounting to 2 million times 5 plus legal fees that really compelled us to align with what is legal.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see is there anything that could be contemplated around cleanup?
We should talk about that more. So that's kind of a different wrinkle than ordinarily what we've been hearing about in terms of state overreach on housing, right? The classic things we're hearing about now are kind of RENA, which I happen to 100% agree. The numbers are way too high. I will tell you that in consultation with a number of you, we approached the housing committee this year and said, hey, if we were to try to get something on track, whether it's even to just look or evaluate the RENA numbers and impacts on local communities, that's something we could take up. We were shut down. We were told in no uncertain terms you would not even get a hearing on that. The other things going on right now tend to be more around the Scott Wiener-esque kind of building remedy or builder's remedy type situations, SB 79, which I was a hard no on. One thing I can assure you, I will continue to vote no on these types of legislative efforts if they don't make sense for our community. Supposedly that didn't apply to Marin or Sonoma. Nevertheless, I felt the overarching principle of erosion of local control was important enough to speak out against. Right on cue, my understanding is Wiener's now coming back to actually close those loopholes and make it applicable to communities like ours. So I think we're going to have to go back to the ramparts on that. I want to better understand the San Rafael situation because it sounds like it's kind of a combination of things. It's not really builder's remedy, right? There was some changes in allowable density and height. Developers then came in, whether intended or not, and now they're also claiming a statute that's been in existence since the 70s, right? The height density bonus. It sounds like it's state, but it's also, what kind of concessions were given or whatever. I want to definitely understand. I think there's a lot of opposition. I'll just tell you, I'm hearing about it daily. People don't like the 17 stories.
Absolutely not.
And I'm not sure they're fully saying it's all the state. So we should probably uncouple that a little bit. But I hear you overall. If there's a way, I think where the density bonus is having an extra kick right now is in combination with the other state things, whether it's the RENA number or in some cases builder's remedy or whatever. So all these things are now playing out in a way that probably wasn't even intended by the proponents, right? But localities have to be careful, and I think you're going to have to fight back. I mean, there might have to just be a test case of a 17-story where you say, you know what, we're going to fight it. But anyway, that's a longer conversation. I'm happy to have.
Yeah, I have a question too, so you go first.
Then there's Fairfax.
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
6 stories, which is like the equivalent of 25.
You know, here, an issue with say, is that working? Oh, there we go. There we go. Here's an issue in Santa Fe, and I'm in Santa Fe constantly at Second and Irwin. The traffic there is horrendous right now.
It is.
They build that building and they're going to back central Santa Fe off-ramp traffic out onto the freeway, and it's going to be accidents happening out all the
You
time.
know, I
Flat
live
out.
in Santa Fe. I can't even stand driving through that area now. So I think it's going to break the bank. If, you know, and the state has to be cognizant of that. Look at the results. When you take, and again, they probably weren't even thinking, you know, density bonus and how that was going to fit in, but it all fits in as localities are trying to navigate this. So far from creating people who are going to visit the downtown, it's going to turn people off to even trying to go downtown if you can't drive your car through it. Of course, we like biking and walking too. Go ahead.
David, as you know, I grew up in Linda.
Yeah.
And my mom still lives there, thank goodness. And when she heard about the 17 story, she nearly flipped. And so we don't want that in Novato. I know Satterfield doesn't like it either. And so we really need to do something about this. And this whole upcoming RENA really makes me even more nervous.
Yeah.
Because we haven't even finished this cycle yet, and cities are really struggling to meet this RENA cycle. And so, because I've been engaged, as I'd love to talk to you about RENA.
Please.
Because I think that there's some ways that we can not look like we don't want housing, but
yes,
have it structured so that it's a little bit more reasonable in terms of the numbers. But so, and I'd love to talk with you about SB 79.
You raise a good point. Let me just add this.
Then I need to talk to you about PG&E for a minute.
Please, yeah, we'll absolutely transition to that. Everything in Sacramento, as is much of life, is a pendulum, right? So at some point, the pendulum is going to swing back, particularly as we see some of these marquee bad projects taking hold, because we're not going to be the only communities facing this. I would say what I'm hearing right now is the pendulum is still swinging upwards, where we may even see more bad stuff this year. So we have to be ready for that. But we also have to start asserting with allies alternatives, because absolutely, Marin, I tell the story all the time, Marin is not anti-housing. And by the way, a lot of it, Sonoma, very similar, also not anti-housing, right? But it can't be a situation where you basically defeat the whole purpose of additional housing. It has to make sense for our local community. So I think we just have to keep chipping away. And as that pendulum naturally swings back the other way, up there, there's no middle ground. It's either this way or the, you know, and you have to be cognizant of how things are swinging and how you put that coalition.
Right, just to follow up on that, Wiener was part of MTC, and now that MTC is having more control over this next cycle of RENA, I'm very concerned about the staff involved in that.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that the locally elected officials have more of a role in deciding that for this next RENA cycle. And I'm starting to collaborate with Sonoma already. And I may go as far as that and some of the others in the Bay Area.
What's going on with PG&E?
Okay, with PG&E, as you know, my mom's 99. And so her PG&E bill is close to $500 a month. And so we're paying her home care, which is great. I mean, she wants to live and die in the house in Terra Linda that she was raised I was raised in. And we got to do something about those seniors who are over 90, regardless of what savings they have. You know, mom doesn't get much money in, but mom and dad saved money just so that they could live in that house until they died.
Yeah.
And so I may end up having to pay more for her care. I've been paying for food for the past year, but you know, I'm doing the best I can. So we need to do something about PG&E and those bills, especially for seniors.
PG&E's in the crosshair.
Yeah, we have more 90-year-olds that live in Nevada.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in Santa Fe as well. And I need to get together with Santa Fe to find out how many there are in Santa Fe. But we have a lot in Nevada.
You're going to see a number of approaches to dealing with the PG&E issue. And, you know, I'm 1,000% on board throughout my career. I've kind of been battling PG&E, right? So you're going to see bills and regulations to directly try to provide ratepayer relief. Those started last year, for example, through the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund reauthorization. There's a rate piece. You're going to see reforms around how PG&E deals with wildfire prevention. They don't need to always take the most expensive, beneficial route for their own shareholders vis-a-vis ratepayers. You are now seeing openly calls for a different utility model. Scott Wiener is introducing a bill to actually enable San Francisco to take over PG&E assets. I think you're going to see a broader conversation around should we even have a monopoly?
I think.
Let me finish real quickly, Pat. Another piece is you're actually going to see reform around the PUC, which right now is simply a rubber stamp toward the utilities. In fact, my ought to be a law later this year. More will be coming out. Is around stopping the revolving door for PUC commissioners.
Just a last comment. I think Scott Wiener would agree that seniors, and I was talking to an 84-year-old from Nevada just over the weekend, and he doesn't turn on his PG&E except for maybe an hour or two during the day.
Yeah.
Because of the cost. So I think the seniors who are living longer in their own homes really need some help. And so that's really what I'd like to talk with you more about.
Great. Why don't we do one or two more?
Yeah, we need to take public comment from the Zoom as well. So is there any other
great.
questions in the room? Okay,
Great questions, everyone.
yes.
And
Let's
more
open up-
discussion to come.
Let's open up the Zoom. Please raise your hand if you have a question. Seeing
Not
none.
seeing any raised hands.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank
Oh,
you.
anytime, you know that.
Appreciate your input.
So much. See you. Well, I'm going to introduce Omar, but yeah. All right, our next presenter is Mr. Omar Carrera with the Canal Alliance, CEO for Canal Alliance. I'm really honored to have you here this evening and give us an update on all the amazing work and all the pressure and strain we know our neighbors are under. So please let us know how we can support you.
Buenas noches.
Do you want to run your show or do you want to just say next slide?
Next slide.
Let me just get it shared.
Good evening. It's a great honor to be here with you. I'm Omar Carrera, CEO of Canal Alliance, proud immigrant and also a proud US citizen. I live in the beautiful Corte Madera, so thank you for the elected officials for Corte Madera for the work. And I spent significant amount of time in the fantastic city of San Rafael, so thank you for this service as well. And to all of you, thank you for what you do. I know it's a very complex times and it's not easy to be an elected official in Tampa now. Canal Alliance, what makes Canal Alliance unique is the work that we do, the intersection between poverty and immigration. Two of the, perhaps the more complex issues that we have to deal. Maybe sea level rising or democracy, maybe are about that. So our mission is not just a program delivery. We exist to break the generational cycle of poverty, and every initiative that we lead is designed with the belief that immigrant families are essential contributors to Marin's social and economic fabric. Next slide, please. A little history of Bacchanal Alliance. Our roots go back to a moment from a major demographic change in Marin. So 1982, we were founded, responding to the new immigrant communities that have been part of DNA at the time. In 2005, Canal Ministry and Canal Community Alliance decided to merge. And that was a signal of a deeper commitment to a coordinated community support that we needed to provide. In 2016, I became the CEO of Canal Alliance, and I dared to ask the community, what is the role of Canal Alliance? And they pushed us to expand from services to system change, which continues to shape the work that we do today. Next slide, please. A little bit about our business, the business model that we utilize. So we combine direct services with neighborhood vitality, or what we call in the nonprofit lingo, place-based. The direct services allow us to create stability at the individual and family level. But direct services are not necessarily transferable at the community level. And also, if we are working in education, we have a youth program helping kids graduate from a four-year college. Just providing academic intervention, family support is not enough. If the same family has no access to stable housing, if the same family has no access to parks, if the same family has no access to childcare centers, if walking on the streets is not safe. So that's what is so important for us to combine direct services with neighborhood infrastructure, because that becomes scalable and replicable in the community. Next slide, please. So what is the approach that we utilize? We recognize that the problems that our community is being affected by are adopted by nature, right? If we recognize that those issues are adopted by nature, that means that there is no single institution that can respond to that issue. So it requires a new type of partnership. For a long time, we have been using the P2, which is private-public partnerships. But a good example of how that partnership was not enough to meet the goals across all groups, we can look at the interstate freeways. And you see how the design of those freeways kill communities, split communities, and continue impacting communities until today. So we have proposed a new way to do partnerships, a private-public community partnership. And that allows us to achieve the goals that the cities or towns or counties have. We bring the lived experiences of residents, and also we bring the private sector, because we have nothing against capital. Against actually my previous background, I worked for the for-profit sector. I support that, but they have very specific goals. The goal is to make money. And I think it's our obligation as local government to help the private sector understand what are the priorities that we need in our community, create some guardrails. And I think we can create the conditions for capital to reduce the risk to capital. And then they make money, the community get what they need, and local government can celebrate that success. San Rafael is a good example of that. And I appreciate Mayor Kate leadership and the other city council members, because we have put San Rafael in the map, not just in the regional map, in the national map. What we are doing in San Rafael is very unique. We have been able to make San Rafael more attractive for investment. more competitive for public dollars at the state level. And also philanthropy is paying attention to San Rafael more than ever. This is slide, please. So now that you understand a little bit about our business model, how we do the work, let's talk about the clientele that we serve, the immigrant population. In Marin County, the immigrant population represents close to 20%. And this is immigrants, just to clarify, this is people that were born outside the United States. Not necessarily all Latinos, but a significant number of that potentially are. And of this immigrant population, about 1/4 are undocumented, which means that the large majority do have some type of legal status. This is like me, I'm naturalized US citizen, permanent residents, refugees or asylees, temporary visa holders, DACA recipients. So many undocumented residents have lived here more than a decade. They are our long-term community members, neighbors, friends, family members, essential workers, and parents in our school. Now, next slide, please. Quickly, I want to move now to the Latino community in Marin. 1 in 5 Marin residents self-identify Latinos. 1 in 5. So when this community is left behind by local policies, leaving a huge segment of that population out of that. The Latino population also represents the current and future workforce. This is not me making the case. It's data that has been available to us. And I think I want to clarify that the census data had a huge undercount for this community because the Trump administration did a very good job making the count almost impossible. One of the major drivers of this growth is not migration, it's birth. Not just here in Marin County, across the entire country. But every single person that looks like me or has a Latino surname is being seen as an outsider, as an immigrant. And that's not the case. You can see the growth between 2010 to 2020, the significant growth of the Latino communities in comparison to non-Hispanic residents. So if I look at these numbers, and you can see the age there as well, who is your workforce? And if you don't believe me still, I invite you to walk through across the businesses in your community, and you will see us. Next slide, please. So why is so important the immigrant community for Marin County in the Bay Area? By the way, by the end of March, I'm going to provide a report. This led by the San Francisco Foundation and other foundations in the Bay Area. They are quantifying this in money so that we can actually understand it. And I will make sure that you guys have that report in your hands. The undocumented workers are the backbone of Marin's most labor-intensive industries. Without them, these sectors can function. Their economic contribution goes well beyond wages. They drive local consumption and enable higher skilled sectors to thrive. So when undocumented earner is removed from our community, an entire mixed status family loses stability, impacting our schools, businesses, and local economy. Next slide, please. So what can we do at the local level? Well, we can replicate the leadership from San Rafael. The chief of police, the moment Trump became president, he went and talked to all of us, reminding us of the role that they play in our community. They are here to protect every single resident, independent of the immigration status. The city of San Rafael leadership have made very clear as well that all local taxes or local resources are not going to be utilized for immigration enforcement. That is how you build public safety. When communities, especially immigrants, cross in local government and local law enforcement, that is how you build public safety. I have been speaking with some of our supervisors how important it is to have a coordinator response. to a potential ice rain. Again, not hypothetical. 2007, we have an ice rain in the canal. Our local politics back then were different than the ones that we have now. The relationship with the police was completely different than the ones that we have now. But ICE went to outside Bella Vista School and picked up parents that were dropping off the kids. We have more than 20 kids that when they left the school, the parents were not there. And similar to sea level rise, when we think the sea level rise was a problem of the canal or problem of Corte Madera, until we have a 10-foot king tide and collapse the freeway, collapse our 911 system. Not even the houses that were on the hill were safe. Then we understood that sea level rise was not a problem of one particular neighborhood, one particular city, but actually a county issue. Immigration is similar. After you see the demographic numbers, you might think the ice rain happening is a problem of the canal neighborhood, it's a problem of immigrants. But as I mentioned, the Latino community and the immigrant families are part of our local ecosystem. So quickly, you're gonna have a multiplier effect that goes from economics to public safety, public health, and all of you, directly or indirectly, will be impacted. Because I can guarantee you that many members of this community are providing support to the same people that you represent and you see this in towns. The Latino community is the workforce for many of the single-family homeowners, for many of the local businesses. So it is going to affect all of us. Next slide, please. And we all know that ultimately the solution is immigration reform. We have conservative voices demanding law and order. I agree with that, honestly. We have progressive voices demanding that we fulfill our humanitarian responsibilities. I support that too. We have business leaders telling us that they need people. There's a labor shortage, an economic need. And I support that too. But both political parties have been telling us that this is not the right time to do it. In fact, in the last presidential election, we were told the immigration reform cannot be part of the conversation because it was not even the top 3 issues, not even among Latinos, the Latino community. And yet, the other party, the entire political campaign, it was about criminalizing immigrants. And once again, we thought that that was not the problem that was affecting all of us. And now, our constitutional rights have been violated, US citizens have been killed, and all communities have been destroyed. So if it's a problem of immigrants, it's a problem for all of us. So, or perhaps, there's a bigger conversation that we need to have, and we're not having it, right? Next slide, please. And with this, I'm gonna end for any questions that you might have. Milton Friedman, one of the famous economic philosophers, perhaps, that this country has had in the world. 1972, University of Chicago, he's talking about immigration, illegal immigration, as they call it. So he proposed this. So I'm wondering if immigration policy is not just about border management, but it's actually a fundamental economic policy. And until we don't have this real conversation, we're going to continue having the same problems that we have. Thank you.
Any questions from the folks in the room? Let's see how they're coming to you.
Oh, I can see you. Your microphone.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Omar. That was fabulous. I wanted to ask you, how can we as local elected officials help the work that you're doing at Canal Alliance?
Thank you. Make sure that your local resources are not utilized for ICE activities, number one. I do think the cities, towns, and the county need to have a more coordinated response. I don't know when ICE is going to come to our communities. I don't know when ICE is going to come to the Bay Area. I don't know how much time we have. to prepare, but we are not ready for that. And I think similar to earthquakes or flooding or wildfire, ice rates is in a scale impact a scenario that will affect all of you communities. So this is the time for us to have one single conversation about how we're going to support that. Because to be honest, resolutions, even freeze on ice and all that is being talked about it, that doesn't provide the safety that our community needs. And honestly, if they mobilize the National Guard to our community, none of us are going to be able to do anything about it. So similar to sea level rise or earthquakes, we don't know when it's going to happen, but it will happen. And it's nothing you can do except to be prepared to respond to the impact. And I think that is my call to all of you. Make sure that your emergency preparedness plan recognize immigration ice rates as one of the scenarios that you need to prepare.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask one question.
Go ahead.
Are you up on the flock camera issue and whether communities were sort of bamboozled into accepting technology that's actually being used for ICE right now? Is that happening? And I know a lot of our towns have those cameras. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, in San Rafael, I don't know in other communities, but in San Rafael, we don't do anything without the community. The San Rafael Police Department has a very strong relationship with residents of the canal, with a segment of the residents of the canal. They are leaders there. And they have these conversations. And in fact, I have been in many of them where they were advocating for this type of technology to provide public safety. The problem is when you have a government that has access to all that information and start utilizing for the wrong reasons, then we have a problem. Same thing with social media and many other things that they are utilizing to identify where immigrant families are located. So there is a concern of how the federal government is utilizing this technology. But when we implemented that in San Rafael, or when the community implemented in San Rafael, that was with a lot of consultation with them. And they are the ones that supported the police department to implement them.
So you don't have them in San Rafael?
Sorry?
They don't exist in San Rafael?
No, we have flock.
We have
You do.
talked, but we don't have any shared out of state.
You don't share it, so you're able to control that?
There's settings, as far as I understand it from our chief of police, there's settings, whether you information share or not. So you need to do what the due diligence you should do is ensure that, oh, go ahead.
Hi, Omar. Good to see you. Derek Johnson, the county executive. Just a couple things. So just on the flock question, we were having this discussion yesterday. I think many of you, I think all the cities do have flock, and so I encourage you to take a look at your agreement. So our agreement, for example, with the sheriff's department precludes the sharing of information with out-of-state law enforcement agencies or any federal agencies. And then we have an assigned staff member who does random audits with those that we share data with. We have a data sharing agreement with law enforcement agencies in California. It's very clear that they have to adhere to our policies, and those policies include the preclusion of sharing data with any sort of federal agency. And so we're auditing that on occasion. We have ways to be able to check that that's not happening. And if we find out if there's a violation, then we have the ability to essentially curtail that sharing of that information automatically. And Omar, I just had something for everyone. We do have a de-escalation framework, and I encourage you to go to the county's website. We were talking about that today. I just got done with 3 days of budget hearings with the Board of Supervisors. We have a de-escalation framework that our Office of Emergency Management has developed. That is available to all of you. That is the public version. We have a more comprehensive version. I'm going to be meeting with Omar and other NGO partners on Monday to talk about more extensively our ability to use our Emergency Operations Center should we have ICE activities in Marin County. It's modeled after others that are publicly available throughout the county that has various different, I would say, levels of enforcement. And at some point, we will be reaching out to all of you, particularly our friends in San Rafael, Novato, and other locations, because we want to do a tabletop exercise, because it is going to require all of us, if we have significant enforcement activities in Marin County, to all band together. We've done some initial training and scenario work within the county. And then as we've refined that plan, which has happened, largely with a lot of the encouragement with folks like Omar, we want to expand out some of that training with some of our NGO and other city partners as well. So there's some work that's being done, and I just want to let you all know about that.
Appreciate that response. Any other questions for Omar in the room? Oh, you never.
Thank you, Omar. Some of the things that I was wondering about were sort of asked before, but what I want to know are, what are some practical steps? What does being prepared look like to you? I can see there's some resources at the county level, but on a very practical level, what we can communicate to our citizens and what we can ask of our law enforcement. What do you see as being prepared?
Yes, so well, before our constitutional rights have been violated, my answer might be different, right? So we all have seen those red cards. I don't know they are even useful anymore, right? Understanding your constitutional rights, I don't know they matters anymore. So what we are moving into the next step, which is to remain alert and helping families, particularly like neighborhoods like the Canal with a high concentration of families with mixed status. Not everyone there is undocumented, as you saw in the data, but there's a lot of families that are mixed status. And because the conditions of the Canal neighborhood, 2.5 square miles, 2 entrances, it seems very attractive for ICE enforcement to happen in that place. So we're moving into the next phase, which is to stay alert. So we're doing right now, I know you have seen the whistle mania, teaching people how to use whistles to just make noise if they see any ICE presence, right? We have people now, they are showing up to the neighborhood, as a civilian. So it's very hard to understand the practices that this federal government is utilizing to persecute immigrants. So we move into the next level of imminent presence of ICE in our communities. We need a coordinated response to support families that are going to be impacted by it, and remain alert with these type of techniques so at least the impact is not as massive as it could be. Also start having conversations with the county and with Marin Community Foundation and other institutions. It's like, if we're going to need to mobilize resources to support the affected families, this is the time to understand what are the mechanisms to do that. Because what happened in times of crisis is all the GoFundMe pages and everybody wants to help. And I just remember the fire that we had in the Canal. What we needed to prioritize is make sure the families are in hotels. So we needed was resources to prioritize that. But a lot of people were just bringing us clothes. And that was important, but not at that moment. So I think if we have this type of conversations, use the scenario planning, just put what happened if 20, 30 families get deported, what will be the implications of that? What if children have no adults around them? What will be the implications of that? What if the breadwinner get detained? Who's going to pay for the rent? We're going to have own house population. The own house population is going to increase significantly because they cannot pay the rent. So that is what we need to be thinking right now. That's the best we can do, is to be prepared for the worst scenario that can happen in our community.
I have a follow-up question to your response on that. So I understood that there was a fund established that was pointed to, is CAM, Community Action Marin, administrating those funds, and are there restrictions on those funds? Like you said, if we wanted to use it for hotel housing, or could you just explain what that fund is?
Perhaps our county secretary can provide more clarity on the framework of that.
Great question. So I've got a meeting, I think Veronica, if you haven't met my assistant, Veronica Hurd. I think I've got a meeting coming up with Rhea. We've had a lot of conversations. As you all know, we've had to rapidly spool up on a number of occasions, first around CalFresh benefits, and then around potentially about the loss of childcare benefits. And so we've had a lot of opportunity to, look at our readiness. And so I know that RIA's and MCF has some funds that they have available, and they've had a very good response from their donor base. And so, talking with the Board of Supervisors today during our budget deliberations, it's very clear that the county, which we have reserves as well, that we will bring those to bear if our community needs those in terms of our response efforts as well. Part of my conversation with Rhea is going to be, well, how are we going to administer those? I think it's very clear that we have a very compassionate and caring community here in Marin County. So if we see large-scale enforcement activities in Marin County, one of the things that I was speaking with Supervisor Lucan about earlier today is how do we make sure that there's a centralized way where people can give to any sort of response and effort. And so that's going to be part of our conversation as well, to make sure that we're putting our resources where they're most needed, and most urgently needed at that time. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
And I will add I'm being part of this regional conversation with the San Francisco Foundation. They launched the Stand Together Fund, which is aiming to fundraise $10 million to support immigrant families. So we're going to be one of the entities, along with Community Action Marin, and distributing those funds as well. So each of us, I think, secure $150,000 to complement what the county has allocated. But we are trying to also keep the fund and the requirements flexible, because sometimes those funds come with a lot of requirements that doesn't meet the situation, right? The emergency situation that we have. So we are discussing how that will look, what will be the application process. That also require that whoever's going to be distributing the funds understand that if family need money now, we cannot create a lot of bureaucracy for them to do. And then use a trauma-informed approach, so that if the family is affected and you need to go to 5 different organizations, each of us are going to be requesting 5 times information that the families need. So that is the level of coordination that doesn't exist, and I hope they will happen in partnership with the county.
Any other questions? Pat? Okay, and then we'll take public comment from the questions from the Zoom.
Great presentation. The question I have is that there are other immigrant families that are Filipino and others that don't necessarily have an organized organization to go to for help. Are you able to help them? Because some, like the caregivers that I have for my mom, one's legal, 2 are not. And I've told them, you bring your families here to mom's house if there's any threat. But there's a large population of Filipinos, especially in Santa Fe. Are you able to help them as well?
So the short answer is yes. So there are some services. The Latino community is our core competency. The Latino culture, the language, all of that, that's our core competencies. But we do have programs that are accessible to any immigrant families in the county, depending where they're coming from. So the emergency fund will be one of them.
Okay, great. I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Okay, let's open public comment on the Zoom.
I am not seeing any raised hands from Zoom attendees.
Okay, seeing none, we're going to close public comment. Are there any closing words you'd like to offer?
Just a lot of the appreciation that you are having this conversation. It's going to get, the situation for immigrants are getting worse by the minute. And this is not something that's just starting now. It has been accumulating for the last 15 years. And based on what I'm seeing, it's just going to get worse. And also a call to action for you as an elected officials to hold accountable to our representatives at the Washington level. This is the time that we should be talking about immigration reform. This is the time for us to solve the immigration issue once for all. Thank you so much.
And I love it. Thank you so much. You share the Francisco Foundation report when it arrives, and we'll make sure all the councils get it. Thank you so much. Well, that was really amazing. Thank you so much. So with that, we are ready to adjourn this evening. Thank you so much for showing up in person and on Zoom. There's lots of treats in the back. I don't want to bring them home, so please take them with you. Nice to see you all. Yeah.